We want everyone to aspire to cross the $100 million mark in their assets or their net worth. Well, if you got 25 people doing that, 50 people doing that, there's superpower in that. And they all learn from each other. The people that come into the Lion, they're not good with being good. They're after greatness.
Welcome to the Lion's Edge, where top performers sharpen their teeth. Hosted by Joe Blackburn, founder of The Lion, who is relentlessly dedicated to helping business owners lead multi-million-dollar teams. And me, Jason Croft. I transform unseen entrepreneurs into industry leaders by developing their market gravity. Each week, we reveal proven strategies and raw insights to help you maximize your business, multiply your wealth, and make your family indestructible. Now, let's create your edge. All right, all you amazing lions out there, welcome to the show. Joe Blackburn, what's happening?
Chilling and killing, just like a lion.
Nice. I like this idea for this topic that we're talking about here. We've touched on it a little bit in past episodes about having a goal, having that vision to go towards, and something you mentioned just last week in the line. You all went through your 10-year goals, and I think the idea of goals overall, and then especially when you get to 10 years beyond, and especially when you're talking business, there's a misconception a little bit of either you're trying to plan out your details of your business 10 years from now, impossible, right? Or you're, oh, well, I could never know, so I'm not even going to think about that. And I think both are wrong in terms of, yeah. So what's that process? Why even take people into this 10-year mindset, this goal, that vision in the first place? And kind of why, besides just being a round number, like why kind of that 10-year mark?
Well, we want them, first of all, to dream it. You know, everyone has dreams. Everyone does. You know, Gruden says you should be everyone's nightmare, you know, so to ruin their dream. But everyone has a dream. A lot of them are unclear. Most people just, you know, go about their day, go about their life, react, all these things. Pressure, stress, all those things start to take hold on you when you live that way, number one, because you're reacting to what is happening. So where it came from, and we did it in our first in-person in Tampa, Florida, we called it a 10-year dream. And what it actually starts to do is, first of all, when you think out that long, I mean, even if you thought back a decade, like what were you doing? What was your health like? What was your family like? All these, you know, where were you in the wealth spectrum? All these different things, and you kind of become present, it's dramatically different. So when you're in the fray or in the fight, thinking out, okay, let me dream what life's going to be like 10 years from now. And that allows you, first of all, to see yourself differently. You know, we talk about the ideal self as the first key to success. So I just want to see what my life's going to look like 10 years from now, and I can see how I am now, and then I can start to make adjustments. So we have everyone start to write out, talk about your family 10 years from now, talk about your business 10 years now, talk about your wealth, your health, you know, how you celebrate, how you give back. I mean, that's a big one, by the way, because that one kind of caught me off guard when we did this last week. People have big aspirations, not only in them, but in what they want to contribute. So I start to build this dream. It's not like you said, it's not a business plan that I check off. It's what do I want this to look like? And that does a lot of things. First of all, it makes you more aware, you know, your RAS or whatever that thing is. It starts to pick up more. It gives me a little more self-confidence because I have a 10-year track record, and I guarantee you're way further along than you were 10 years ago. But it starts that process of thinking bigger. And I think we get in this, you know, habit of compressing what we think about based on what's happening right now. And if I give you a perspective of 10 years from now, what's stressing you, what seems big, you're going to think is funny. Like one of the exercises we do around goals, what a lot of the feedback is what I thought was big and what I thought was not doable so much is now like what I do every day. So just going out 10 years in the future allows you to have that perspective. And then we want to look at it. Okay, can we compress that? Number one, is it really going to take a decade? Is your dream big enough? On our call last week, there were a couple people, and mustard principle always applies in the line. We're like, that ain't big enough. And it was because they knew the person. They're like, you are bigger than that. You have bigger capabilities. So then then you can get a little more tactical or granular and dial that down into what I want to do this year. And so it takes the weight of the bigness, and it starts to, dial it down. You could break it into 90-day segments. What do I got to do today? So like 10 years, somewhere in the middle, 1 year, 90 days today. That's called a flight plan, by the way. And it makes it easier for me to execute, but it also keeps my mind bigger. And when I hear other people talk about what their dream is, it also empowers me, because now I have other people with the belief system that they can do it as well. So it was pretty impressive hearing everyone's. And I have them do it individually. That's probably the first time we've done it as a group in the last 12 months. And it's something you probably ought to revisit, every once in a while. Like mine's 2 years or 3 years old now, and it's totally different. My dream has changed. So keeping an eye on it, but I still see how big this can become.
Oh, yeah. And there's a couple of layers here to this that they're multipliers. When you do this in a setting like the Lion, number one, you're not in a vacuum. You can see other hear other people. So you do, like you mentioned, you start thinking bigger. You're like, oh yeah, why am I thinking that way? And I think what 10 years does as well is that we all feel, anybody listening to this show, anybody in the line, anybody in that world, we all have that feeling that if I am exactly the same 10 years from now, something's horribly wrong.
Correct.
Right? Not that we're not grateful for now and who we are now, all of that stuff, but if we are that stagnant 10 years from now, so that automatically we think, out in the future, we think bigger, what can we do? But something that it does, besides getting everyone else's point of view, now you're held to it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You get a bigger, and we all need that. Again, people listening to this show, people in the group, they're already high achieving people, and we still need that. Hey,
yeah.
what are you doing? What are you doing? And it helps you. Now, if you're allowed and you think big, you put this vision together, there's a little bit of just like, cool, how the hell am I going to do this? And you have that guidance of just like, oh, it is this simple. You do this, this, and this. So I think all of those things come into play in this kind of setting.
Well, I think when you get the reaction from people hearing your dream, and it's not, are you fucking kidding me? It could be bigger. Wow. Like I was giving away my secrets to the Lions. So I watch the chicklets on our calls. When people are talking, I watch them a little bit, but I watch how other people react to what's going on. And you can see it. It's like a light up. Like, oh my gosh. And think of your perspective of other people. You meet them 3 times a year and you see them on some calls and everything, but you're not hearing how big they actually want. And that's like a turbo booster in the fact that now you got 25 people all trying to cross a big finish line, and you've said it out loud. So, if you let's say you get a little complacent or you take your foot off the gas, now other people are like, hey man, you said you wanted to be at, 100 million in net worth, or you were going to build a business that does 10 million in revenue. I mean, so once it's out into the inner circle, specifically, now you've got other people's skin in the game. That's pretty powerful. We want everyone to aspire to cross the $100 million mark in their assets or their net worth. Well, if you got 25 people doing that, 50 people doing that, there's super power in that, and they all learn from each other. So it felt timely. I think one of the things that I decided to have everyone kind of checkpoint it and do it was, you get out of that first quarter in the year where you've kind of reacclimated to the real world, ran hard. And now it's like the accumulation of, we were talking about it before, travel, sports, vacations coming up, school getting out, you've lost an employee or fired some, you've had all this. So now it's like I get like here on the problems, and I thought it was time to just kind of, okay, take a step back. Let's take a big look. Now we can come back and get granular. And the dichotomy of it is you only have today. So like today's all you got. However, if you don't have a big vision or a big dream, today's much harder. So if you want to make today easier on you from a psychological standpoint and more crisp in your execution, have that out there, but don't waste today. So it's not like, well, my dream's going to come true if I just sit here. We know that's not going to happen. But it really helped almost like take the cover off of everything that was going on for a moment. Now people, I'm sure, have gotten back into their normal routine. But if you're going to hit that 10-year dream, you got to change some of the things you're doing. So I found that pretty fascinating. And we've got some newer people in there, and I got, of course, my phone's blowing up throughout our whole call, and they're like, holy shit, I didn't know, like it was kind of their first merry-go-round. I think they understood what they were getting into, and now they see what we're talking about. These people are not kidding around about building greatness. And, there's a couple people in there that, are, shout out to Gary. Gary's one of those people that his life's pretty damn good. And he's super capable. And it was like, I'll just use him specifically. He got a little pushback, like, man, you could do so much more. But I think one of the things we run into when we're on our own, it can be good enough. And then it stops becoming about money. And if I've got accountability and I'm part of something and I have capability, the thing that I call complacency is a silent killer. The thing that you start to battle more and more after you have some comfort is how much further do I go and why? And I don't ever see them or me saying, okay, I've made it. But you can't always be in a state. It's weird. You can't be in the state of mind. I've not made it. It's just, now what can I do? I've done this. I've climbed this mountain. Now what? And it becomes more about what you're capable of versus getting just to checkpoints. I call it, your gap to potential. I don't know if I didn't coin that, by the way, but if I'm always going here and I keep going up and I get close, well, now if I'm here, what do I do? Do I stay here? Do I die here? Or do I now go here? And from the contribution standpoint, and it's hard to wrap your mind around, especially that far out, but if you're passionate, and they all are, like everything was like, I wouldn't say everything, almost everything was in contribution about helping people that can't help themselves, the youth. I mean, you could see their heart where it is. Well, if you stop here and ultimately it becomes about contribution, how much more could you give? Maybe you don't need to put 100 million in the bank. I don't know. But you could give 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. I mean, you go either side of me down here and to the major cities, it's 1 in 8 gets mugged, and there's a lot of hungry kids. I know what I want to do. I mean, I don't have to spend 100 million. However, there's a lot you can do, and the world will always have people that you can help. So it's kind of putting your brain around that versus, okay, I've made it and I'm good. I mean, I talk to people every week that are good. They're good. They go on vacation and have a pretty good business or job, and their family's decent, and they're good. Just the people that come into the line, they're not good with being good. They're after greatness. They want to do more than they ever thought. So putting the perspective around that time frame has really helped us. I sometimes take it for granted and think it's not that important to them. Most of the time I'm right. On this one, I was a little wrong. Like that was like they were like, I'm glad we did this. Like this helped me.
Yeah.
So I'm done
That's great.
preaching, by the way.
No, you're not.
Oh, okay.
And I love that. I feel like it's a Jim Rohn thing that's talked about. It's not just a goal. It's like who you become.
Yeah.
Getting to that goal. And I love that concept. It also expands out into who do you get to know and be around
Right.
the bigger you get in terms of vision,
Right.
right? And then who you have to be. Now you're attractive to folks thinking that same way and after those same bigger goals. And that helps you reach your bigger goals more and more. So it's this expansive, abundant aspect of things that just a great
Yeah.
place to keep your mind
Well,
on
it's
an ongoing basis.
beats the hell out of worrying all the time. And I say it's something to keep on hand, because when you are super stressed and you are feeling overwhelmed, or you're in a shit storm, so to speak, pull your goal or your 10-year dream out. Take a look at it. Is this that big a deal right now? I do it all the time. I have 5 children and everything in life going on, and just like everybody else. And once in a while, I'm like, God bless America. I'm irritated, whatever. And I just okay, this isn't a big deal. It's not a big deal. No one's going to care. Tony Robbins, so talking to Rowan and Robbins, two of my heroes, Tony'd say, you're going to laugh about this 10 years from now. So you might as well laugh now. We have a 90-second rule. You can only be pissed for 90 seconds. I use the rule. Sometimes more than 90, but not much. But anyway, I mean, it's a great tool. And it's one of those things, it's weird. All of this is very psychological. I think all success is in your mind. And it's the thing that gets neglected the most, because it isn't demanding it of you in the moment. It's not something that, if I don't do this, I drop dead, or my kids starve, or anything like that. So it's easier to not do it, like anything else that's good for you. It's just easier to not do. It's the most important thing. It's been the biggest challenge in what we do, is getting people to get the habits of the mindset things, because of their actual physical demands in their job and their family and everything else. And there's some people that are religious about it. There's some people that dabble in it, and you can see a difference. And there's days when I don't get around to it. William had to go to basketball this morning. I didn't write my goals down. I'll admit it. He had to go early. It threw me out of my routine, and I didn't do it. Now, I call it the 90% rule. Anything you do 90% of the time is basically the same as 100. If you look at the actual results, diet, you get a cheat day. Business, you're going to have a bad day. 90% consistency. I mean, I came from the financial planning world, where there's something called Monte Carlo simulating. And even at 80, you had 100% probability of not outliving your money. It's kind of the same math. Just do it very consistently. You'll get about the same results. So don't beat the shit out of yourself when you miss a day. Like there's another side of that spectrum.
Right. That's the other mindset piece to that too. It's, if you do stay in that routine, and the more you do it consistently, it's really just easier. It's a human thing to make it feel more strange to not do it when you get to that level of habit. But absolutely right. That's the problem with, you skip a day or this and that, and then you beat yourself up like, oh, well, might as well not do that anymore. I
Right.
can't even.
I messed one day. I've blown that.
Right. So to wrap this up, though, what's step one for somebody to go put this into action? They've developed this 10-year goal. How do they now connect it? You talked about that flight plan. How do they connect that to affecting today?
And of course, we've got, Lauren's made them. They're awesome, like worksheets. We get it, people fill them out. I hand wrote mine because I'm cool. Some people typed them. But the first thing you want to do is take some time. It's not hours. Take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you want to pull your spouse in, probably be smart. And take a piece of paper out and just write down what you dream about from we break it into what we call big bites. So what does my family look like 10 years from now? Do I have kids? Do I have grandkids? Do we live a certain place? Like, I was sharing with you, when I first wrote my 10-year dream, we were going to live in North Carolina. I live in Orange Beach, Alabama. So dreams change. So just write out what it's like to, smell, feel, taste, walk on the beach holding hands. I don't care what it is. What does my family look like? Do they come home? Do I go to them? Dream it. Like, what does that look like? And then you can look at your business life. what does my business look like 10 years from now? What's my role in this business? Am I, totally separated or do I own multiple businesses? Have we created something? Just dream your business 10 years from now. Then look at your wealth. And wealth, it's a two-sided thing. Part of wealth is the actual money and the assets. It's also your life. Some people build to sell, some people build to live. I teach simple wealth. I would prefer to not have a bunch of headaches. That's how I'm wired. I don't deal well. I'm impatient. So there's different ways to build wealth. But what does it look like? Do you own rentals? Do you own businesses? Have you accumulated assets in stocks, bonds, and cash and alternatives? It could be a combination of all those things. But what does it look like? And what do you do now that you're wealthy? My thing is I'm never going back to an airport. I'm damn near there now. Like, I hate airports. I just hate them. They're dirty. They stink. The bathroom's terrible. The food's brutal. I don't like airports. So my dream is to not have to deal with them and still be able to go all the places I want to go. There were a lot of jets in our 10-year dreams, by the way, which was awesome. I think some people don't understand the mathematics and the business purposes around jets, but I'm not going to shit on their dream. Great. Get a jet. I love it. So what does that wealth look like? Who do I spend my time with? Pillars, when we talk about that, it's a lifestyle. I do what I like with who I like, when I like, and we all prosper financially. That is a wealthy lifestyle. That is paying the price to get, like you said, around the right people so that we all prosper together. And then you can look at your health. I mean, I'm no spring chicken. I'm going to turn 50 this year. And I know I look like a specimen. However, there's things I'm not doing currently that I need to do more of. There's dietary changes. There's, as you get older, you get aches and pains. So if you're, we got kids in their 30s in the inner circle. I called them kids. That was awesome. You got people in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. Well, for me at 10 years at 60, I'd prefer not to have a bunch of neck pain. That's health. And what's your, so how do you take care of yourself? How do you eat? I want to still eat a steak or a burger every day. Like, that's what I love it. I look forward to it. I like meat. So then I want to look at, okay, how am I giving back now? Because if I've accumulated a decade's worth of wealth, I have to give to get, and I should give without expecting it. So what am I passionate about? Where does everything, kind of pull at your heartstrings? Where do you, I don't cry much. Wasn't really allowed to as a child. It was a good rule, but I have not enforced that at my house. Anyhow, but like what makes you emotional? Like, where are you going to be passionately giving a decade from now? How are you going to do that? And then if you do all this, how are you going to celebrate? I mean, are you going to have toys? Are you going to have multiple homes? Are you going to bring everyone home for Christmas on your dime? Are you going to put a big trip on the calendar every single year and fly everyone in? Are you going to just stay at home and walk on the beach and read books and ignore people? That's a pretty good dream, that last one. Live on an island, not have to deal with humans. No, so if you just took, I went through that in 2 minutes, I don't know what the hell it was, but write that out, start there. Then, okay, well, if that's what I want 10 years from now, I probably could do it sooner. Maybe look at 5, 7 years. I don't know if you're super ambitious, 3. What do I got to do this year? What do I have to do this year? Like, when we do our 10 goals, they're aligned with the 10-year dream. They're categorized the same way. So what do I have to do now in this given year? And if I'm in, the last week of or the first month of Q2, what do I got to get done by Q3, 90 days or 60 now, and then what I can do the next 90, and then what do I got to do today? Like, that's how you bring it back down on your flight plan. It's how you land, but you got to take back off. So the flight plan itself, and by the way, it's just like any other flight. As soon as you take off, you're off course. The wind changes, the weather changes, the fuel changes. So you adapt along the way. But if I'm tactical down to what I have to do this week today, I can make those adjustments. And that's business. Like, one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our era, Mike Tyson, said to get punched in the mouth, your plan's pretty much over. I get a plan, I go in, I get popped in the nose, and now I got to readjust. So if you were going to apply it, start there, bring it back down, and then take flight on this week, 90 days, next quarter, next coming year, or next 12 months. That's how I would do it. And you can do it on a piece of paper if you'd like.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. You don't need a fancy journal, but
right.
Maybe we'll sell you one.
Well, I mean, we could, or you could just do what, this. Look at that good handwriting, and I write everything in red.
That's how angry you are. Everything has to come on.
I don't.
Is it all caps in red? Everything
my
you
eyes
write?
see red better than they see blue and black, so everything's in red. Even my whiteboard's in red. So, just like that lion back there, Jason.
Here you go.
That's all I got.
Awesome. I think that's great. I think it's really important, and I hope people dig in and grab it. And it's been half an hour today. Jump in there and do that, and just feel it. Feel that energy that comes from doing that.
It's all there. Just put it on paper. Start there. All right,
Lions. There's your edge. Go make it count.
peace out.
You've just experienced the Lion's Edge. If this episode lit a fire, if you're ready to push past your current ceiling, there's more waiting for you. Want to see what it takes to become a member of the Lion? Visit jointhelion.com to discover how successful entrepreneurs become unstoppable forces. And make sure you never miss an episode by hitting subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just content. This is your edge.
This show is powered by Media Leads. Tired of being overlooked in your industry? Learn how market gravity can transform you into the leader everyone's talking about by going to MediaLeadsCo.com.